Has your pornography addiction infiltrated your marriage? Has your wife lost all her trust, respect, desire, and passion for you because of the secret addiction that you've been keeping from her for decades? You know, I speak with men every single week that reach out because their marriage is on the brink of divorce. They're about to lose everything that they've dedicated their life to. They're committed to breaking free because they believe that it's going to save their marriage. But once they begin down this path of overcoming pornography addiction, what they quickly realize is quitting porn, removing the addiction out of their life is not enough to gain their wife back. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to rebuild the trust, how to rebuild the connection, the desire, the intimacy back in your relationship if it's been torn apart by a porn addiction. You know, men and women see the act of consuming pornography through two completely different lenses. I struggled with a porn addiction for 20 years. I never saw it as acting out. I never saw it as cheating. I never knew the impact that it was having on the women that I was dedicated my life to, the women that were there for me when I needed them. But when they found out, they saw it completely different. And this is how your wives and your girlfriends are going to view this. When you take your eyes, when you take your attention, your time, and focus it on the consumption of another woman that is not your wife, she sees that as cheating. She begins to think that maybe she's not good enough for you. She begins to think, why doesn't he desire me the way that he desires the women on the screen? Is it something I did? Is it the way that I look? Am I not enough to satisfy him? These are all thoughts that are going on inside of a woman's mind. So when you begin to take the steps towards quitting this, you can be successful at removing this habit out of your life. But what you're not addressing are the wounds. What you're not addressing is the hurt, the damage that was done. You remember when you first met your wife? Remember when you first started dating your girlfriend? The passion, the desire that you had for her. She was the constant thought reoccurring in your mind. When you wake up, it's the first person you want to reach out to. Before you go to bed, she's the last one you want to talk to. You looked for little unique ways to remind her what she meant to you. You looked for these little opportunities to remind her how beautiful she was. And I know what happens. You get caught up in a relationship, years go by, responsibilities start to grow. You got houses, you got mortgage, you got kids, you got rec centers, you got little leagues, you got churches. What we forget about were the things that we did that made her fall in love with us, though. We thought because we were showing up as a man and serving and providing, that was all we needed to do, that was the end of our responsibilities. And then you throw on top of that hours every single week in front of a screen, lusting and objectifying other women. Your wife begins to question, does he actually love me? Does he actually desire me the way that he desires these women on the screen? Now, yes, quitting porn, getting involved in a community, doing the necessary work, developing your skill sets, developing your mindset, building healthier habits, becoming a better you are all necessary parts of truly transcending the addiction. But you want to heal the relationship that's been damaged? You want to win back your marriage? You got to start treating her like you did when you first met her. When was the last time you pursued your wife the way that you pursued her when you're trying to date her? When was the last time you dated your wife as if it was the first date? When was the time that you made her feel like the most special person and woman in the world? When was the last time you went out of your way to tell her how beautiful she is and how you randomly thought about her throughout the day? When was the last time you surprised her with flowers or you surprised her with a small gift that you know she wants? You see, sometimes men think that just because the porn was the problem in their relationship, if they quit that, the relationship should be fixed. But what they're not addressing are the problems that the porn has created. Your wife has lost respect for you. Your wife has lost trust in you. Your wife may have even lost passion and desire for you. And the man that she fell in love with possessed those things, possessed the ability to gain her trust, possessed the ability to have her respect. The man that she fell in love with was one that she desired. Now she found out years into the marriage, years into the relationship, that man maybe was not truly all that he was, that there was a porn addiction included in this. So just because we stop doing the behavior without addressing the issues means that our relationship is not going to progress in the way that we want it to. We got to win back our marriage. We got to treat our marriage the way that we did when we were pursuing the marriage. Take your wife out on a date. Pursue her. Remind her how beautiful she is. My great friend Tony DiLorenzo, I've talked about his podcast. I've talked about his book, his work, dozens of times. Him and his wife, One Extraordinary Marriage. It's their movement podcast, coaching organization. They wrote a book called The 6 Pillars of Intimacy. One of the biggest things I took away from the time I got to spend with Tony, both in preparation for the podcast, but also the handful of times I've spoken with him, is the way that he honors and respects his wife and talks about her. Now, Tony's wife's name is Alicia. They work together. They share their lives together. But every time he talks about her, every time he brings up Alicia's name, her name is preceded with the word beautiful. If he's telling a story on the podcast about something they did, Tony will say, me and my beautiful wife, Alicia, went on this trip. If he's introducing her at a cocktail party or introducing her at an event, guys, I'd like to welcome you and introduce you to my beautiful wife, Alicia. Now, Tony admittedly struggled with a pornography addiction for years. And a lot of the work that they do today is because of what they had to grow in their relationship and how they had to heal the damage that had been done. But Tony knows that a daily reminder to his wife that she is beauty in his eyes is something that makes her feel secure. Are you doing things to make your wife feel safe around you? Are you doing things to make your wife respect you? Are you doing things to make your wife desire you? You should be porn free. So just because you're accomplishing that is not a win in her eyes. You shouldn't be lusting after women on a screen. So just because you stop doing that doesn't mean you deserve your wife's respect. How are you the man that she fell in love with? How are you the man that she deserves? How are you the husband, the lover, the provider that is going to separate you in her eyes from every other guy in the world? And until you answer and begin to live out these questions in your life, you may succeed at quitting porn, but that doesn't mean your relationship is going to be a success. Now, guys, if you're looking for some help, if you're looking for some tactics and strategies and trainings and tools and resources in a community of men that are all committed to growth, discovery, and leveling up in their lives, join us inside our school community. It's school, skool.com/the Rebuilt Man. You can click the link down there in the show notes below. It's a free community. We'd love to welcome you. We'd love to have you a part of everything that we're doing here so that you can not just quit porn, but you can win back the trust and intimacy in your relationship and in your marriage. Guys, Coach Frank Rich, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share this episode across all the platforms. But we love you guys, and we will see you in the next one.